Oh, the dreaded weight plateau. Hey, what's shaking bacon? My name's Bruno Panucci. I hope you're doing well. So I've been doing this carnivore diet strict for well over 2 years. It's coming up to 2.5 years. Been doing it intermittently before that for a number of years. So I've lost over 150 pounds. At one point, I actually lost 160 pounds. I had a plateau at that 150 pound mark that lasted quite a while, probably about 7 or 8 months. And I switched to a high fat version of carnivore. I did this last fall for those of you who are watching in some of my older videos. So I went from a regular carnivore diet where I was eating whatever I wanted when I wanted, as long as it was restricted to a carnivore diet. And I switched to a high fat, moderate protein version of carnivore. So an 80-20 ratio. Did it for a few months as an experiment. Now, I initially put on weight with that, both muscle and fat. I get regular DEXA and bod pod exams. I wanted to see what the results would be. And you know what? It did get me over my plateau, but in the wrong direction. I initially put on weight. Yeah, I put on something like, I think it was close to 20 plus pounds, 25 pounds in the first couple weeks alone doing a high fat diet. Now, that typically scares people away from carnivore or a high fat version of carnivore. But I expected that weight to come off very quickly, and it did. The first 10 pounds melted off very fast. So I hit about 25 pounds up, and then within another week and a half, that 10 pounds was gone, and I had about something like 12 pounds remaining to even out. Now, I was doing some HIIT workouts at the time, so some of this was lean mass that I put on. So I think I was technically only up out of that 12 pounds, about 7 pounds. You can see this in some of my older videos when I go over that information. But now I'm doing a different high fat version of carnivore, and it's a 90-10. But here's the thing. I don't believe in low protein, at least not for very long. So this high fat version of carnivore I'm doing is me getting about 100, and I'm trying to shoot for about 140 grams of protein a day. Now, sometimes I find it's getting tough to get all my food in the day because I'm trying to do it between 5 to 6 small meals. Honestly, I'm struggling to get more than 5 meals in. So I have advice for people that are typically struggling to eat more on a carnivore diet. And I'm going to make another video about that specific topic very soon. But what I'm doing right now is really trying to give this a fair shot, because the reason why I'm doing this high fat version of carnivore is to try and heal my hormones. My hormones are out. About 2 months ago, I got my blood tested and my insulin was still high after well over 2 years of strict carnivore. So what I'm trying to accomplish now is to not only balance my insulin, but I'm waiting for the results because I'm getting my blood work done. Actually, I already got my blood work done, but I'm getting the results in a couple days. I'm at the point where my clothes are on the tight side a little bit too much. So I have to watch this because I only have so much clothes with me right now. So what I have to do is hope that the exercise I'm doing with this will help balance things out. Now, I'm trying to not raise my cortisol. So because I am concerned I have a cortisol issue. So I'm not doing any HIIT workouts at the moment. I'm doing some weight training and walking. So I'm probably shooting for about minimum 3 kilometers a day. And if we can, we're going to try and shoot for that twice a day. And we're not going to make it too aggressive right now because, once again, I don't want to raise my cortisol. I want to get some movement, but I don't want to aggravate my hormones too much. When it comes to weights, I want to weight train, but not be ridiculously aggressive about it. So I want to be intense in the moment, but calm and relaxed while I'm doing it, focused on the exercises that I'm doing at the time. I'm not trying to shoot for the next gold medal and anything that way. So I just want to get healthy. I want to put on lean mass as I lose weight. So I know some of this weight I'm putting on is muscle, but I know more than anything it's fat because it's going on in my waist. So it's not just weight that I'm putting on as I'm doing this carnivore diet. I'm putting on inches, but not the right type of inches. It's not like my back, shoulders, and chest are getting bigger. My waistline is actually not much bigger, believe it or not, but my upper stomach is getting larger and larger. I already put on 10 pounds before I started doing this high fat version of carnivore, because when I went on vacation a few months ago, I had a little bit of dairy in my diet and I knew I'd probably put on some weight or at least stop losing weight, and I put on 10 pounds. So there's my initial weight where I was plateaued at, which was pretty normal. And then I put on 10 pounds from that. Well, I got it down to about 5 pounds after a while. And since I've been doing this high fat version of carnivore, I'm easily up, I would say, another 10 pounds. I'm not bloating. I'm still going to the bathroom quite regularly. Now, this high fat version of carnivore I'm doing this time, I'm not having butter in my high fat version of carnivore. Last time I was doing it with butter. Quite frankly, you can only eat so much butter. This time around, I'm using beef tallow as my fat. I'm putting it in the fridge. It's quite nice. It doesn't have a lot of flavor. It's almost like the fat version of tofu. So it's pretty hard, and then it sort of melts in my mouth and I just chew on it. I'm trying to focus on chewing my food a little slower. I'm trying to get some iodine back in my diet, and this is where I'm at right now. I'm waiting for this weight increase to plateau and then go down. So this video, even though it's called the dreaded plateau because I've roughly been at the same plateau, this weight for so long, lately I've been putting weight on. So I actually broke my plateau in the wrong direction, even though I'm doing everything right. So this is just the reality of the situation. I have to wait it through. I'm waiting on the blood work to see if I can tweak this in any way, shape, or form. I might need to go on a medication. I don't know. But we're going to figure this out as we go along. So how long am I going to keep this up for? I'm going to keep it up for at least the minimum of 2 months with this 90-10 ratio. It's tough to get all my food in a day and all my protein in a day at this high ratio of fat to protein. So these 5 meals, I'm probably having burger patty with each meal, each of these 5 meals. And lately I've been trying to tweak it just to get a little bit more in the day. My goal is to keep this up maybe for up to 6 months, unless the weight starts to get too far out of control. At that point, we have to watch how this is going. But I remember Kelly Hogan and some other carnivores in their interviews talked about how when they introduced more fat in their diet, they actually started to put on weight and it stayed for months. Then they lost it. What I don't want to do is abandon the process while my body's healing. What you have to ask yourself is, are you in this for the weight loss or are you in this for the healing? Now, I'm in it for both, and I have to balance both, and I have to keep a few things in mind. I'm morbidly obese still at well over 325 pounds, but what we have to watch for is that my health doesn't start getting bad as my weight's going up. If I can maintain all my good metabolic health that I've achieved with carnivore, but my weight's temporarily going up, I have to wait to figure out if I hit this breaking point where it's not worth it anymore. So we have to pay attention to this as I move along slowly. Weight loss isn't an easy thing when your hormones are out of balance. I've had hypothyroidism since I was 19 years old, so I'm dealing with that on top of insulin issues as well as clearly cortisol adrenal gland issues. I'm sure at this point I still have a fatty liver. So a lot of what I'm eating right now is that beef tallow, burger patties. They're really my main staple. I'm having some rendered fat. So we're putting these fat trimmings in the air fryer and we're putting it on for a certain amount of time. And then what drops to the bottom is the tallow. And then we take those trimmings that are on the rack, put them in the fridge, and we have them nice and cold. And if you salt it, it actually tastes quite nice. And the texture is usually pretty good too. I've had some that come out tasting just like walnuts. The texture is just like walnuts. And I've had other ones that come out tasting more like pork rinds. And I've had other ones that come out that just have a slightly different texture each time you cook it. So it's a matter of finding what works for you. And that way, the nice thing is it's some crunchiness in with the tallow, which is almost like a mild flavored butter. And then I'm not getting the diarrhea from the tallow like I was with the butter. So this is definitely the way to go for me. I have loose stool with this, but I don't have diarrhea. That first time I did this high fat version of carnivore with less fat in my diet, I was dealing with diarrhea, 4 months of diarrhea, actually more like 5 months because I was playing with it before I did my initial challenge. And that did not make for good times. So my advice to others, after losing all this weight and being at this plateau, I've tried a lot of different things, and some things have worked, some things haven't, some things only got me so far. You have to find what works best for you. A plateau isn't something that lasts 2 weeks. That's just most likely your body catching up and adjusting to what you've been doing lately. But a plateau that lasts for a few months or a year or 2 years, something else is going on. And at that point, I highly recommend getting medical advice. An endocrinologist or your doctor, start somewhere, start doing something. What I don't want you to do is starve yourself. It's the worst thing you can do. Some people are fans of intermittent fasting. I've done that in the past, and that's what you're thinking to yourself right now. Bruno, your insulin is high. Do some intermittent fasting. Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't work well for me. It really doesn't. Not with my history of gout and hypothyroidism. It does not work well with those conditions. So that's unfortunately off the table. I was doing a little bit of fat fasting for a while, and I did get some benefits from it. I'm not against doing fat fasting, but I just got to watch it because I noticed I started to get some leg cramps at night. But at the same time, I have this tuberance that looks like a ganglion cyst on the top of my foot, but I'm pretty sure it's a uric acid buildup. It's like gout that's just hardened on the top of my foot. And that dropped by about 50% in size from doing this fat fast for 2 days. So I'm not against doing fat fasts. They weren't back to back. I did a fat fast and then I did a day of regular eating and then a fat fast again. And that blew me away that sort of cyst or bump on my foot hadn't moved in years. And all of a sudden, 50% of it's gone. So it's much smaller, and I like that. So the big thing I want you to keep in mind is don't give up. Find what works best for you. If you need some help, there's coaches out there that can help you in the carnivore world. And I'm going to have Kelly Hogan on one video quite soon, hopefully, and so that she can talk about some of the good experiences she's had doing this carnivore coaching. So thanks a lot. I appreciate you watching this video to the end. I hope things are going well for you. So if you can, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Take care.